I'm going to start with number 2. It says which inequalities is the solution set for the graph? And what I did is I graphed the y is less than or equal to negative x plus 1 to the second power minus 4, because I know 1, negative 4 is a vertex, and I know it's going to be shading below, so your answer is C. Number 3, I'm going to go ahead and solve this. So we're going to subtract 10 from both sides. So we have the square root of x minus 1 equals 2. What we're going to do next is we're going to square both sides. So you have x minus 1 equals 4, so x equals 5. And if you wanted to check this, all you would have to do is substitute. So we have 10 plus the square root of 5 minus 1. That's 12. For number 4, it says the graph of y equals 3 minus square root of x minus 4 appears in which quadrant? It looks like it goes from 1 and it goes into 4, so I'm going to say C. Remember, this is the first quadrant, this is the second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant, and there it is. The graph of y equals 7 plus the square root of x minus 2 appears in which quadrant? 1. So it's 1. Number 6, we're going to divide. So we have x to the third power minus 2x squared plus 0x minus 9 is divided by x minus 3. X times what gives you x cubed? Of course, we know it's x squared. X squared times x gives you x cubed. X squared times negative 3 gives you negative 3x squared. Minus x cubed minus x cubed. We have negative 2x squared minus the negative 3x squared, which is just x squared. Bring down the 0x. X times what gives you x squared, so it's going to be x. X times x gives you x squared minus 3x. Subtract. 0x minus the negative 3x gives you 3x. Bring down the minus 9. So x times 3 gives you 3x minus 9, and then when you subtract, the remainder is 0. Number 7, we have 2x to the 4th minus x cubed minus 6x squared plus 9x plus 1. We're going to divide. So it's going to be x to the third power, actually 2, minus 2x to the third. You subtract. So 2x to the 4th minus 2x to the 4th is 0. This becomes a positive, so this is x cubed. Bring down the negative 6x squared. So you ask yourself, what do you multiply x to get x cubed? It's going to be x squared. X squared times x gives you x cubed minus 1x squared, right? You're going to subtract, and we have x cubed minus x cubed is 0. Negative 6x squared minus a negative x squared gives you negative 5x squared. Bring down the 9x. You multiply times negative 5x. Negative 5x times x gives you negative 5x squared. Negative 5x and negative 1 gives you positive 5x. Subtract, that cancels. So you have 4x plus 1. So you multiply by 4. So you have 4x minus 4. So the remainder is 5. The remainder is 5. So that's how you do the long division. I'm going to use synthetic substitution to find y when x is equal to negative 2. So we have 2. Negative 2 times 2 gives you negative 4. 3 plus negative 4 gives you negative 1. Negative 2 times negative 1 is 2. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. Negative 2 plus 4 is 2. The remainder is 2, so we have f of negative 2 is 2. So we're going to go ahead and use synthetic substitution again for x equal negative 3. So when we have x is negative 3, we have 1, 2, negative 4, 0, negative 5, 1. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. 2 plus negative 3 is negative 1. Negative 3 times negative 1 is 3. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. Negative 3 times negative 1 is 3. 0 plus 3 is 3. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9, so it's negative 14. So your answer is A. Find the remainder when x cubed minus 3x squared plus 3x minus 2 is divided by x minus 2. So you have 1, negative 3, 3, negative 2, and we're going to use synthetic division. So we have 1, 2 times 1 is 2, negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, 3 plus negative 2 is 1, 2 times 1 is 2, negative 2 plus 2 is 0, so there's no remainder. So we're going to find the remainder. So we have 3, and then we have 2, negative 5, 1, negative 15. Bring down to 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Negative 5 plus 6 is 1. 3 times 1 is 3. 1 plus 3 is 4. 3 times 4 is 12. Negative 15 plus 12 is negative 3. So your remainder is negative 3. I'm going to go ahead and do long division. So you start off with 4c. What do you multiply 4c to get 4c to the fourth? Well, it's going to be 4c to the third. I take that back. It's going to be c to the third. So you have 4c to the fourth minus c cubed. Subtract. Remember, you're always subtracting. So you have 4c times c to the cube, c to the third power. That cancels. This is positive, so it's going to be negative 16c to the third. You bring down 8c squared. So what do you multiply 4c to get negative 4, negative 16c to the third? So it's going to be negative 4c squared. And that gives you negative 16c cubed. And you get positive 4c squared. Subtract again. 8 minus 4 gives you 4c squared. Bring down 23c. So what do you multiply 4c to get c squared? It's just c. So it's 4c squared minus c. Subtract what you're actually adding here. So it's 24c minus 10. So you're going to multiply by 6. 6 times 4c gives you 24c. 6 times negative 1 gives you negative 6. You subtract. So it's negative 4. Your remainder is negative 4. The negative is going to reflect it over the x-axis. The positive 2 is going to move it to the right. I'm sorry, to the left 2 units. And minus 3 moves it down. So which one moves it down? So we down, left 2 units, and reflect over the x. So there it is. It reflects over the x-axis and moves over to the left, and it goes down 3. Let f of x equal square root of x, and we have that 2. That 2 does a vertical shift. That minus 4 shifts it to the right 4 units, and 6 goes up. Use the following graph to determine the order pair, which order pair is out of solution. So we have -2, -5. That's not going to be a solution because it's on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh wait, that is on the point. 2, -7. That is a solution. 10, 3, 2, 3, 2. So it's actually D. D will not be a solution. 16. What is the solution for this equation? We have the square root of 1 minus 2x equals 2. You square both sides. 1 minus 2x equals 4. Subtract 1, subtract 1. So negative 2x equals 3. So x equals -3 over 2. So the answer is B. And if you want to check, all you would have to do is substitute. For what value of x is always true? So we have square root of 4 minus 3x equals 4. So we have to square both sides. So you have 4 minus 3x equals 16. Subtract 4 from both sides. So you have -3x equals 12. Divide by -3, so x equals -4. So what would you do again? You would go ahead and substitute and then see if it comes out to 4, and it does. 18, for what value of x is it always true? So we have the square root, 3x minus 8 equals 4. The left side we square, the right side we square, so we have 3x minus 8 equals 16. You add 8 to both sides, so you have 3x equals 24 divided by 3, so x equals 8. So what you would do is you substitute. 3 times 8 is 24. 24 minus 8 is 16. Square root of 16 is 4. What should be the first step in solving the equation? It's a cube root. You don't square. You don't divide both sides. You cube both sides. So the answer is D. Which of the following are factors of the polynomial function x squared minus y squared? So remember that this is a difference of squares. So to factor this would be a plus b times a minus b. So the factors, the polynomial factors would be x plus y times x minus y. The answer is A. So 21, which of the following factors for this polynomial? So you have 2r cubed plus 24r squared plus 40r. You factor the greatest common factor, which is 2r. You're left with r squared plus 12r plus 20. You're going to have to find the factors of 20 that give you 20, but also add to give you 12. In this case, it's going to be 2r, r plus 10, and r plus 2. So your answer is B. Which of the following are factors of the polynomial? So we have 2x to the third power minus 13x squared plus 6x. And what you're going to do is you're going to find the common factor, or the greatest common factor. In this case, it's 2x. So we have we're left with x squared minus 13x plus 3. Oh, in this case we can't. So we're going to have to, we can't, they don't have the greatest, wait, they have x as a common factor. I take that back. They have x as a common factor. So you're left with 2x squared minus 13x plus 6. Then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to multiply 2 times 6, which gives you 12. Find the factors of 12. X minus 12, x minus 1. Then you divide by 2. And the factors are x, x minus 6, and 2x minus 1. which is A. You have 3p to the third power plus 27p squared plus 24p. The greatest common factor is 3p, so you have p squared plus 9p plus 8. So you have 3p and you have p plus 8 and you have p plus 1. Because 8 times 1 gives you 8 and 8 plus 1 is 9, so your answer is B. The cubic function f of x equals x cubed is transformed by the function f of x equals x minus 3. It's minus 3, so it's going to move to the right 3 units. Okay, 27. How will the graph cube root of x change if we have negative here? Well, it's going to reflect it, and the 5 is going to stretch it. And you see the red one? That's the new function, and we did have a stretch. So it's a vertical stretch by a factor of 5 and reflected about the x-axis. So the answer is B. The cube root function will change from the cube root of x minus 4. How will this affect the graph? The minus 4 is going to shift it to the right. You see that minus 4? It shifts it to the right. The graph will shift to the left. No, it won't be any of these two. So it's going to shift to the right, so your answer is B. (29) It says a cube root function, a cube root of x is transformed to the cube root of x plus 6. Which effect will this have on the graph? So that plus 6 is going to shift it up. It won't be down. It won't be to the left. It won't be to the right. Since it's outside the radical, it's going to be shifting up. So it's plus 6. The cube root of x is changed to 2 times the cube root of x minus 3. Which statement describes how the graph will change? So that 2 is going to stretch it vertically by a factor of 2. The minus 3 is going to shift it down. So it's these two, and it's going to vertically shift by a factor of 2, so your answer is A. And any of these transformations, you can use a calculator. So I'm just kind of talking it over with you, but you know that the minus 3 is going to shift it down, and the 2 is going to do a vertical shift. So for 31, I'm going to go ahead and solve this. I have the cube root of x plus 2 plus 7 equals 5. And so I'm going to go ahead and go step by step how to solve this. Okay, so the first step is to subtract 7 from both sides. So you have the cube root of x plus 2 equals negative 2. The next thing that you have to do is you're going to have to raise it, the left side to the third power, raise the right side to the third power. So you notice that the cube root and 3, they cancel. So you have x plus 2 equals negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. So x equals negative 10. Now, if you want to check it, all you have to do is substitute into this equation. So I'm going to do that. So I have the cube root, and I have negative 10 plus 2, and then the outside I have plus 7, and what do you notice? It's 5. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do B. So I'm going to solve for B. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. I have negative 2 times the cube root of x plus 4 equals negative 6. What you have to do next is divide by negative 2. So you have the cube root of x plus 4 equals 3. Then you have to raise it to the third power. Both sides to the third power. So you have x plus 4 equals 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. So x equals 23. If you want to check it, all you have to do is substitute negative 2 times the cube root 23 plus 4, then plus 6, enter, and you get 0. 32, give a possible factorization of the following polynomials, also give the zeros. So what are the zeros here? I have x equal negative 3. Remember, the zeros are where they intersect. We also call them roots. So we have x equals 1, x equals 4. So those are the zeros. They're also the 4. They're also the 0. They're also the x-intercepts. They're also the roots. If you want to do the factors, it'd be x plus 3, x minus y, and x plus 4. Okay, for 32, we have x equals negative 2, we have x equals 1, and we have x equals 3. If you want to do the factorization, this would be x plus 2, x minus 1, x minus 3. So these are the zeros. They're also called the roots. And this would be the factorization. You want to give the possible zeros and the possible factorization. So I have the zeros here are x equals negative 2, x equals negative 1, x equals 1. So we have 1, 2, 3 possibly. And so we have x plus 2, x plus 1, and x minus 1. So this is the factorization, and these are the zeros. We also call them the roots. Find a polynomial function in factored form of degree 3, which is corresponding tables on the right. So the thing is, we need to find the zeros, or we got to find the roots. 3, 0 is a 0. 1, 0 is a 0. Negative 2, 0 is a 0. So we have x equals 3, x equals 1, and x equals 2. Oh, I'm sorry, negative 2. And we have x equals 3, x equals 1, x equals negative 2. These are all roots. These are all zeros. If you want to put this in factored form, it's going to be x minus 3, x minus 1, x plus 2. So these are all in factored form. Explain what are the zeros and factors of this polynomial. So this would be a 0, this would be a 0, this would be a 0, and this would be a 0. So you have x equals negative 2, x equals negative 1, x equals 0, and we have x equals 2. So those are all the zeros. Now if you want to write down the factors, it'd be x plus 2, x plus 1, we'd have x, and we have x minus 2. So on the test, you have to be able to explain this. We have a polynomial. It's an even polynomial. It has 4 roots. It has 4 zeros. X equals negative 2, x equals negative 1, x equals 0, x equals 2. And all of these are written in factored form. Do you notice I jumped to 39? I'm going to tell you how to find f of 0 graphically. F of 0 is right here, so that's going to be 1.5. F of negative 3, so it's 1, 2, 3, so it's at 0, so f of negative 3 is at 0. And then f of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, so f of 4 is 2. So to find these, you have f of 0, f of negative 3, f of 4. All you have to do is just look at the graph. You have 0, it's going to be 1.5. F of negative 3 is 0, and then f of 2 is 2. And I'm not going to go over 40 because I know you can do 40. 35, I'm going to tell you the degree. So in this case, it's 4. The degree is 4. So that tells me if it's degree 4, then I'm looking for 4 roots, or I'm looking for 4 zeros, right? And I should have 4 x-intercepts. Now, if they're not there, that means they're imaginary. Okay, so we have 4 roots and zeros here. Find the zeros of the polynomial using the calculator. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the graph.
Unknown color.
I'm going to go to the graphing calculator. I'm going to type it in. So I have x to the power 4 plus 6x to the power 3 plus 8x squared minus 6x minus 9. I'm going to press enter. And you notice I have 1, 2, 3. So one of them has to be repeated. So I'm going to go ahead and find the zeros here using the calculator. I'm going to go to Menu, Window, Analyze Graph, 0. So the first 0 is -3. Menu, Analyze Graph, 0. The second 0 is -1, 0. And then the third one is 1. So my zeros, I'm going to list them. I have x equals -4. I'm sorry, -3. -1, 1. So my zeros are -3, -1, 1. Do I have any multiplicity? So these are all just one of them is going to have a multiplicity of 2, but we don't know yet. But each of them are multiplicity of 1 right now. And we want to sketch our graph. It's going to look like this. And there's a sketch of our graph. And be sure to label 0 so the zeros are right here. Okay. So 38, I'm going to factor in x. So I have x squared minus 2x plus 1. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor x squared minus 2x plus 1, which is going to be x minus 1 times x minus 1. And you notice here, that indicates that's a multiplicity of 2 right there. So we know that x equals 0, x minus 1 equals 0, x minus 1 equals 0. So we have x equal 1, x equal 1, and x equals 0. So this right here is a multiplicity of 2. That's a multiplicity of 2. The last one, or the next one here, we have x to the third power minus 2x squared minus 15x. We're going to look for our greatest common factor. So we have x squared minus 2x minus 15. And you're going to find the factors of -15. So you have x minus 5. And you have x plus 3. And we set this equal to 0. This one we should have set it equal to 0. So we have x equals 0, x minus 5 equals 0, x plus 3 equals 0. So x equals 5, x equals -3. So each of these is considered a multiplicity of 1. Multiplicity of 1. So your answer is A.